Welcome to the Epic Vision Zone. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce today's guest. She is the CEO and founder of CASACOM, a Canadian integrated data-driven public relations and strategic communication firm founded in 2001. She began her career first as a journalist and then as a press attaché at the Quebec government, traveling the world and experiencing firsthand the value of crisis management while in her 20s. Thereafter, she held several key positions within major organizations in Canada and France until courage showed her the way to embrace her passion and become a heart-led entrepreneur. Today, she is recognized by peers and clients alike as one of Canada's most progressive public relations experts, helping CEO and executive teams improve their positioning and market impact. Known for her clear and ambitious vision and passion for communications, she believes that making a difference in lives and those of her clients, her colleagues, and staff is the only way forward in life and in business. Headquartered in Montreal with an office in Toronto, CASACOM provides strategic counsel to support the business strategy of renowned brands in various industries, including Expedia, Toyota, Aeroplane, and many more. An alumni of Harvard Business School's Owners President's Management Management Program, she brings innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurial flair into all she does. Leading with heart, she is also the founder of Brave, an original interview series showcasing the bold experiences of women who dared to be courageous. Brave bets that courage is contagious and that it can become a skill and a habit. The series features powerful and inspiring stories full of courageous actions and defining moments by women who have braved their fears and gone on to make a significant impact on the world around them. Welcome, Marie-Josée. How are you? I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm very glad and I'm very impressed by the introduction. I mean, I'm moved and I feel a little bit exhausted with everything I've done.
It's so funny because that happens every time I read someone's bio. They go, wow, I can't believe I've done all that. I know, it's amazing. It's interesting when someone reads it back to you, but it's all you. So very impressive, I have to say. Well, in fact, speaking of your impressive career has spanned from journalism to politics and now entrepreneur. Give us just a snapshot of your journey during your earlier years and what you learned from those experiences that have helped you in your work today.
Yes, I really wanted to be a journalist. That was my goal. I was called to do it. But in 1990, there was a big recession, and the very first place where they were cutting was in media. And after an amazing a series of circumstances, I got introduced to the chief of the opposition in Quebec. And so I had the opportunity to become his press attaché at 22 years old. So the journalism has taught me to really understand complex problem and really get into the society. So I was a journalist for about a year and a half, and then I got this job. This job, my God, a dream job, a job where you learn not to be intimidated right at the start. You meet presidents of countries, and you deal with the biggest CEOs of your country and your province and your cities, and you work for an amazing man, which was my case. So, and then you learn to take into account all stakeholders. You become like a spider, with a lot of antennas, and you're able to really sense the impact of everything you're doing on all stakeholders. So I think that brought me a lot into, the person I became.
Well, you were very young as well. So I have to say, you had a lot of courage because at that age, to be thrown into those circumstances and situations where, like you said, you're dealing with individuals, very high ranking individuals, and yet you held your own, that required some courage. I would say a lot of courage. I don't know that a lot of 20 plus year olds would be up to the challenge. I'm not sure, but
I have to say that I had an amazing family, and I still have an amazing family that, helped me build my confidence. I know you have to build it yourself, but
right.
they gave me everything so I could do that. They really, really supported me in my life. So I was solid on the personal side. But I have to say, if I go back to that period in politics, what gave me the most confidence was the trust my boss was putting in me.
Oh,
That's amazing. What a gift.
yeah.
So, we were walking imagine in politics, you walk in corridors in the National Assembly, and there's a big group of journalists coming in front of you. And
Right.
the premier would say, because he became the premier at some point, would say, I'm not answer. Go to Madame Gagnon, see what she thinks, and I'll do what she says. And whenever I was saying in a scrum, it's over, it was getting out of the scrum. So
Right.
I had his trust. And you know what? One day something happened. I was 23 years old, and I wrote him a memo saying, on your speech tonight, when you're going to talk about this, why don't you say that? And then at the speech, I'm there in front of him, and he takes my memo in his jacket. He opens it, and he doesn't read the memo, of course. He reads just the thing I wanted him to say.
Wow.
That day I said, oh my God, I have such a big responsibility. I cannot, be wrong. So imagine that you are 22 years old. You're going to be working for this man for 6 years, and he gives you that kind of trust. And I have to say that he's an old style politician. So it's not the new politician that you see right now. So he's more institutional, more, but very nice man, very, very brilliant on top of that. So imagine you start with that.
Yeah, it's like, where do you go from there? Wow.
Exactly.
But that's really, I love what you said there, because his trust instilled confidence because he gave you that trust. And that's really interesting, because we don't associate you a lot of times trust with confidence. But if you give that individual that trust, then they feel that you've given them that responsibility and they become responsible for it. Yes. Oh my gosh, that is.
I always think about that as a leader. I always think about that when I don't see the ages, the age groups in my team. I don't see them, quite frankly.
I love it.
And I always remember when I was 22 years old what I was doing. So age is not an obstacle.
Right. Well, that's fascinating. I love that. That really, that's a takeaway to me. You have a really interesting story about how you got that job and for the attaché of the Prime Minister of Quebec. And can you share just a little bit of that story with us? And then I'm curious about what your views are on fate.
My views on fate. It's, fate is so important, and still today, like so important today. But you have to have those kinds of experience in your life to really, believe in fate in a way.
Right.
So I got that amazing job because I was a journalist trying to pay my rent. Okay, I was still a student in a master program, and one day it's something like a Monday or maybe a Thursday night. It's 4:45. I'm walking towards my apartment, which I pay $340 a month, and I have a problem paying it. It's not easy, and I'm a freelancer, a journalist freelancer. I walk on the street, and there's a woman carrying a piece of furniture. She's not very young, so I look at her and I say, can I help you? She says, yes, of course. So I carry the piece of furniture to her house, and I realize she's my neighbor. And then she says, would you like to take a tea? I said, well, you know what? I can't. I don't have the time. It's 4:45. I'm a journalist. I need to call somebody. And then she said, okay, well, let's keep in touch. You know, it wasn't a house, it's apartments, you know, all kinds of small apartments. And then the next day, another neighbor, a guy came to see me and said, you know what? I heard you are a freelancer. I have too much work as a freelancer. I'm a freelancer too. Would you like to do a freelancing job? I said, yes, of course. You know what? He came to see if I was as cute as she said I was cute. So maybe we could go out together. That was his hook, you know? Anyway, that gave me a job. So he gave me a job to do. So I did the job. And then when I did the job, he said, go to the editor of the journal. It was for the University of Montreal, the journal. And I go to the university and I bring my disc, you know, my paper was on the disc, and I bring it and I say to the editor, I say, here's my paper. Can I have another assignment? And she said, well, wait a minute, I'll read it. And if I think you're good, I'm going to give you another one. So by the time I come back, I have on my answering machine, 1990, on my answering machine, I have a message from her. Well, Marie-Josée, it's fine. You can have another job. So I said, yes. So I worked 2 months for her maximum. I saw her 2 minutes. And one day she calls me and says, Marie-Josée, I heard there's a job to become the press attaché of Jacques Parizeau. And I said, I'm a journalist. I don't want to be the press attaché of Jacques Parizeau. And the other thing I said, he must have 24 press attaché. I don't want to be one of the 24. And then, well, no, Marie-Josée, I'm not supposed to say that, but it's really to be his press attaché.
Wow.
I said, I don't want to be that. I want to be a journalist. I don't want to be in a political party. But you know what? There was no job in journalism. And this guy was such a monument. I said, oh, okay. So I got a job.
Wow. All because you helped an older lady with her furniture. And
it's amazing.
The domino effect. So
I had no contact with this party, with this man, with this, you know, I was not going there. I was not going there at all.
Fate led you to that.
Amazing.
Fate. That's why I wanted to get your views on fate.
But you know what? I don't think I had fate at the time. It's good by connecting the dot today that I see that faith is so important.
Yes.
And also I use it all the time today. You know, when I engage myself in a big endeavor, a big like project, and I don't know, I always say it's like a plane, you know, when you're in the plane, there's a lot of turbulence, but you know, if you believe in it, it's going to land. And you know what? There's a big chance it's going to land as you want.
Yes. Yes.
But there's a lot of insecurity in between, but you have to believe that things will be fine.
Right. You have to make the step first. So that's exactly what you did.
Exactly.
You went from one to the other and finally to but yes, that led to a whole new life for you. Well, during your work with the Quebec government, you learned something that I thought was very insightful, and I think you have incredible intuition. You said, power is not used, but lent to someone. That's really profound, and you learned that in your 20s. Just unwrap that for us.
Yes. Well, first thing, you know, you have so much power. You know, when I was calling people, I could almost hear the dishes break. You know what I mean? I was calling and I was saying, here's Marie-Josée Gagnon. I'm calling from the Premier's office, or the chief of the opposition when we were in the opposition. And I could hear, you know, maybe somebody breaking something or a big silence, or I knew I had so much power. It's a little bit frightening and it's too much. And I was telling to myself, don't abuse of that. This is not something that you have. It's something that has been lent to you. So that was so important to me. You know, in my office, my personal office, I was receiving 400 calls a day.
Whoa.
I had 2 personal receptionists for me. I was not answering all the calls. I was not returning all the calls, but I was managing 400 phone calls, you know, with my team.
Right.
That's a lot of power. And if, you know, one thing, as soon as I got there in November 1990, on a big, big snowstorm day, I said to myself, if I can be here for 6 months, that's amazing. And I was there for 6 years. That was great. But at
That
first
was fabulous.
at first I said, okay, if I can be here 6 months, I'm going to have succeeded. But one thing I told myself very quickly is, oh, politics. I was looking around and I was saying, politics is great, but you have to get out of here
Mm.
at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Don't stay there.
Right.
Because that thing that I said about power, you don't want it to get to you. You know, you don't want to think you have power.
Right.
Never,
Well,
ever.
you were so intuitive though, because many people abuse that. Like they don't go where you went, but that was an incredible lesson that you learned, but it was your intuition. It was your knowing. So I just thought that statement was worth unpacking. So thank you for that.
You know,
And also
public service. Public service.
Public service.
It's very important, even today for me.
Right, right. Yes, absolutely. Well, you learned during that period as well the value of crisis management. And you said that, and obviously there was so much that you had to handle, but you said that that is something that needs to be experienced. It's not a skill you can gain without that. And what that experience is, how can that serve entrepreneurs in business? Because I know you're juggling many hats as an entrepreneur. So the crisis management that we can experience during our lives, depending on where we come from, maybe we can look at it as an asset as opposed to tearing your hair out and going, oh my gosh, I can't handle this. Because look how it's serving you now.
Well, I think entrepreneurs face so many crises in their journey. So I guess they are aware, but I don't think they have the 360 view. I got the 360 view from politics, and I got a lot of practice, And one thing, so when you practice, also we say in French, relativiser. So it's relative. You know, you kind of know that some things are important, other things are really, really important, others are not that important.
Okay.
And one thing that is really important is to understand that you are in a bubble, and that's your bubble. That's not the bubble of the other people. So in politics, you learn a lot around that. And whenever I advise a CEO on a crisis, I really devise things, you know, in the sense that this is your bubble. This is not their bubble. And, you know, be aware of really the impact on others, and the fact that sometimes there's no impact on others, and what you see as something really, really important, well, you know what? It's not important. So I guess the practice brings you a lot of, you know, relativization. That's what I was looking for.
Realization. Right.
Yeah. It's like, you know, this is not important. This is really important.
Right.
So you get that sense.
Yeah. It's your mindset, and also the way you're interpreting it, your perspective.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you're saying, right, because to you it's really important, but look at it from another viewpoint and what's the perspective. But yes, I could see that, absolutely. And you said to me earlier in our conversation that it was the birth of your son that changed your outlook on work, and yet still you had to provoke yourself to start your business. Tell us that story.
Oh, wow. You know, I had so many great jobs very young that I never thought of entrepreneurship until I got a little bit bored. And I have to tell you when and where I got bored, which it's weird, because right after my 6 years in politics, I got an offer to work at the Quebec delegation as a diplomat in Paris. The best job ever. It's one of the best job you can find. You know, you work in the diplomacy, and the Quebec government in France is like, you know, the United States almost. You know, you're really, really considered. So I was there, but I was bored because I was working at the first priority of the government office. And now I was working at the last priority government office. So,
Right.
you know, I was in the action, and then I was like, eh. But I realized that there was a Saturday, a Sunday, a Tuesday night. So I had some free time. And I started thinking on my own, like, okay, this is my job, and this is all the other possibility in my life. And entrepreneurship started, you know, growing in me. And I think it started with the fact that when you have worked with such an amazing man, how can you, you know, really admire the others, the ones that are after him? It's really tough.
Yeah.
So that was one of my problems. So, but at the same time, I think I had entrepreneurship in me, but I didn't know because my parents were teachers. My sister is a teacher. My aunt was a teacher. My godmother is an entrepreneur though. So I could have looked into that. So I was imagining myself launching a business. But eventually I got back to Montreal, worked in communication, didn't think I was worth launching a business. I was afraid of launching a business. And then I worked in companies, getting bored again, always bored. A big position, vice president position, but still bored. I got pregnant, gave birth, came back to work in January 2001, and realized that this is not worth it. I'm not going to leave that wonderful baby to go work at a place where I don't feel a passion for.
Right.
And the other thing I was telling myself, that my son needs to be proud of me. I want him to be proud of me. It's extremely important for me that he would be proud of me. And if I'm not proud of me, how can he be proud of me? So it really gave me it provoked me again, you know, to think about entrepreneurship. And then I got an opportunity for a wonderful job, which was Director of Communication of the Fine Arts Museum of Montreal. A dream job, you know, with a team of 30 people.
Whoa.
I was a finalist. I was in front of the board. There were 18 people. Montreal Inc. was reunited there, big boardroom. And the chair of the board, I remember he said, Marie-Josée, if you don't have the job, what are you going to do? I said, well, it's very clear to me. I'm going to launch a business.
You put it out there.
I put it out there. I wasn't really ready to do that because I was still hesitating. So my lesson is that whenever you want to launch something tough, something that is really, really hard for you, you prepare on one end and you provoke yourself on the other end.
I love that.
But by saying that in front of them, I had no choice. First of all, they looked at me and they said, well, she's not our candidate. We don't want an entrepreneur.
That's what I would think automatically. You pretty much talked yourself out of the job.
Completely. And then I was stuck with what I had said.
Right.
So it took me a few weeks after that, a few months after that to find a name, you know what? Develop, you know, find a few clients, because I was really concerned with the fact that I would not have a pay. I thought, you know, before launching a business, I thought I was not able to develop a client and that I couldn't live without the security of a regular pay. That was my two main fears. And as soon as I launched my business, those fears went away.
Yeah.
So funny.
It's taking the step, but I love that story. And I could see how you would be bored, because you went from a job that was incredibly busy, like day and night, 7 days a week, 24/7, and then to a job that, you know, you could pretty much do whatever, whenever. And yeah, that's a big, and you obviously are an individual who likes to be busy. So yes, I could see that, but you're absolutely right. You put yourself out there, and fate took another bite out of you. And so
Exactly.
wonderful. I love that story. Thank you so much. What is the passion that you have for communications? Because I know that is in your blood, but when did that start?
Oh, very, very young. I
Mm.
wanted to be a novelist. I wanted
Oh,
to be a,
really?
yeah, I wanted to be a journalist.
Oh,
Um,
that's interesting.
yes,
Novelist.
always
Is that still a
communication.
dream?
I don't have the capacity.
Oh,
I can't.
not now, you know.
I don't have the talent to do it. You know, you have to know yourself. I don't have that talent. I can do other things, very nice, but
Right,
not
right.
writing a novel.
But
I don't
that's
think.
interesting. So what do you feel about communications that that makes you inspired by it?
Well, it's a mean of change.
Mm.
It's really that. It's a mean of a. It's empowering. It's connection. It's being more of who you are for, you know, individual or companies. It's an expression.
Mm,
Communication is expression. It's
right.
wonderful, and you can create so much with communication.
Yes,
I
it's
love it. I love
today,
it.
and today it's more important than ever because
Yes.
we all have all those avenues to communicate as well. But I wanted to ask you now, you started your business the day of September 11th, 2001. Besides the horror of that event, what went through your mind about starting your business on such a day?
You know what? Not much, because it was not about me.
Mm,
It was about the world.
okay.
I thought we were entering the third World War.
Mm-hmm.
So my business was not my first consideration, but
Right.
it's unbelievable because I had developed clients before. And on that very morning, I was entering my office in the World Trade Center of Montreal. That's where I was renting an
Mm,
office.
that just gave
And
me goosebumps.
it's unbelievable. And I had clients already developed that were, one was, I was doing job for him towards the US, but no plane involved. And the second one was in a plane that in that morning.
Mm,
At 8, he was landing at 8:25. He landed at 8:25 and eventually took a car back to Montreal.
mm,
That's an amazing, you know, but still in December, I had 4 employees, but I have to say, that my first thing was, oh my God, what's going on in the
right.
world?
Yeah.
Second thing was, how's my baby? I'm going to get home right away.
Yes.
And my business, I don't know. I was launched. I was
Yeah.
already launched. I was busy building a business, was not thinking about the impact on my business. I had to make it work.
Mm, okay. Yes, that's, yeah, you were driven. You were driven.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah.
that's it.
So you have a very interesting name for your company, CASACOM. Can you explain the significance of that?
Yes, CASACOM is Casa de Communication, or House of Communication,
I love the name.
Maison de Communication. You know, when I launched my business, I had never launched a business. I had never worked in an agency. I heard about agencies. I
Mhm.
had offers to work in agencies, but at the time, I thought agencies were cold.
Mm,
Uh, Agencies were too narrow in their services.
mhm.
I was not excited by the perspective of working in an agency. And I said, well, there's an agency that is missing here. It's an agency that would offer a lot of the services that
Right.
a client would need, and a place where you could feel the warmth,
Mm.
the humanity. And this is what I built. So fortunately, the world changed, and a lot of agencies, many agencies, have become much more human and much more, you know, integrated.
Integrated.
But this is what I wanted to build, and today I can tell you it's exactly what I have.
Well, yes, you had a vision, but see that as an entrepreneur, you saw the gap, which is something we often are told, look for the gap. And at the time, that, like you said, was a huge gap. Not only was the humanity missing, the warmth, but also the integration,
Yeah,
because you would have to go one place for this and another place for that. And this way, a client can come to you and you can address all of their needs for communication and PR, which is
exactly.
incredible. So your company is known for strategic thinking and award-winning campaigns. and with a staff that is dedicated to consistently aiming high for themselves and their clients, what's the secret to keeping such a positive, energetic attitude within your company?
Oh, well, I think the first one is to be that,
Mm-hmm.
to
Lead by
embody.
example.
Exactly, lead by
And
example.
I could tell you do, because you're just so beautiful.
Thank
You
you,
are.
Jane. Everything that I do is coherent with that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I will not let them down. They know it's, you know what? The secret is what? It's exactly what happened with Brave. You start with your heart. You start
Mhm.
with your conviction, with your values, and you build something out of that. So if somebody on the interview who's listening to the interview is thinking about starting something, start close to you. The
Mhm.
closer you start, to you, to your values, to what you believe in, the stronger it's going to be. And this is what I do with my clients on communication. We go back to who they are, what they believe, and we build from there. And this is when it's going to be strong. We
Right.
say the deeper the foundation, the higher the skyscraper, the higher the building,
Right.
and the more solid it's going to be. So
Right.
that's I think that's my very first key. So walk the talk.
Yes.
Walk the talk. And it's very important to recruit people who have the potential of performing well in your business. So
Mhm.
we're really, really, I only hire stars. And sometimes, you know what happened? I hire superstars.
Okay. Well, that goes to show you, yes, but they want to go along with the growth.
Yeah.
They're also very open to growing with you and becoming
Yeah.
part of the family.
It's said right from the beginning, our mission is to elevate.
Mm.
Elevate yourself, elevate our industry, elevate our clients. Are you ready for that? Do you know what it means? What it
Right.
means is, are you a good learner? Are you
Mm.
ready to learn all the time? Like all the time,
Yes.
by experimentation, by whatever it takes. But are you ready to be challenged all the time?
Yes, because learning is growing. And
Exactly.
yeah, be a life learner. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Well, how do you inspire creativity in your business?
I think I challenge them by
Mm.
asking them, bring me something wonderful. I know you can. This is something I do. The rest is I offer an environment, a safe environment where they can, experiment again, fail, or, succeed.
Right.
And I think we have a fantastic group of people. And one of our value that is, a classic one, but so key, is collaboration. And,
Mm.
when my staff say, I get the same level from my colleague, that what I offer, that's what I want. So I think a very, very good climate, culture, very strong culture,
Yes. Hmm.
and some rope, a lot of rope
Right.
to test and to experiment and
Don't
be
be
yourself.
afraid. Don't be afraid
Don't be afraid.
to go outside the box, to go
Exactly.
without the box.
Exactly.
Yes, no,
Exactly.
that's very important because creativity needs space. And you're
Exactly.
right, when you build that culture and that collaborative, and that's what women are very good at, is collaborating. So entrepreneurs are often told that we are to look at challenges, and some of our biggest challenges are our first few months of being our own bosses. How was that experience for you, and how would you give advice to those who may be just starting and they've faced with all these challenges?
Oh, if I knew everything I have learned in the last 19 years, I don't know if, I was like blind. I mean, I didn't know what I didn't know. I
Right,
learned
right.
so much. Yeah, I don't know what to say. There's so many things. You have to learn. You have to learn. Everything that I did, I had no experience. So I learned. I learned through people that I've met. So
Right.
meet people, go out, join clubs, join my mastermind group, join the EO, entrepreneur organization, go to Harvard. I went to Harvard for three consecutive years,
Mm-hmm.
1 month each time. That was such an amazing experience. Another thing that I did as soon as, CASACOM was a little bit, out there. I think we needed something like 1 million revenue after
Mm.
a few years. I joined Welcome PR Group, which is a partnership of PR firms across the world.
Mm.
Imagine how I learned. When I started
Mm.
with Welcome, I was tiny, tiny, tiny. And today, a lot of partners come to me for advice.
Right.
So, but the way I did it is really by becoming a sponge and,
A sponge, right. Mm-hmm.
meeting with people and really, really grab everything. One thing I can say is that also it's what I didn't realize that I learned throughout is that it's holistic. You as a person, you as a leader, you as a mom, everything, or you as a wife, you as a human being, it's all one amazing experience. So
Mm. Mm-hmm.
it's all linked.
Right.
You cannot be a great leader if you don't take good care of yourself.
Right.
I
Yeah.
yes, but to a certain point, because people won't look at you and say, wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's important that maybe not everybody would say, wow, looking at me, because maybe they think I work too hard or things like that. But it's never perfect. But try to make sure that the essential is protected and you have some sort of balance.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And never be afraid to ask.
No,
Be afraid to
absolutely.
ask. Yeah.
No.
Well, yeah, I love that you said be a sponge. Just and when you learn, I'm very curious, so I love to learn. And when you're an entrepreneur, I think that's one of the skills or values that you probably either get or you have, because you do have to learn. Everything's changing so fast now and on our world. It just, it changes all the time. So we have to be sponges. So your website has a saying on it, which I love. Making a difference is the only way forward. What does that mean for you?
Oh, I just cannot look at myself in the mirror if I don't have a positive impact on the world, for
Mm.
my clients, for my employees. I mean, I wake up every morning to do something. If it
Right.
doesn't have an impact, a positive impact, why would I do what I do? I mean, it's a minimum. For me, it's really, really a minimum. And I know that communication can really have a big impact.
It does have a
So
big impact.
we
Yeah.
but really, like, it's not only storytelling anymore, it's really story doing, and we
Mm.
really get into our clients strategy. And for it has always been the case for me, but you can see that it's going there as well. You cannot tell a good story that isn't real. It's
Right.
so we're really making change while we're advising our clients, and it's wonderful. It's
Mm.
wonderful.
I love that. So what is the best part of owning your own business?
Ah,
There's
I
got to be
think
a good part.
there's many. There's
Okay.
many. I think I one thing is the pride that sometimes I can
Mm.
have. I have to say that I was never satisfied before. I was always feeling
Mm.
um, something was missing. There
Right.
was always something missing before September 11, 2001. Since September 2001, there's nothing miss. Well, sometimes I need to go further, to go higher, but
Mhm.
I'm satisfied. I'm fulfilled.
You're fulfilled. Hmm.
That's amazing. But the other thing that I really like about being having my own business, is that my business is a mean for expressing myself.
Mm.
And also it's a mean that I lent to others to express themselves.
Right.
And I see CASACOM as a car that flies. So it
Oh, I
has
love that.
it has nothing here, nothing under, nothing right here. You're free. We're
Yeah.
free of expressing ourselves. Let's express ourselves. Let's experiment and express ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a mean. A business is a mean to express yourself. So that's wonderful, I
Yes.
think.
Yes. And you do it beautifully, for sure. And the company and the staff and the people that you've gathered. So moving on, you have an original interview series called Brave. Tell us about the inspiration for Brave and the purpose that it holds for you.
I did, wonderful work with a wonderful lady that put us, Jane, in contact. Nancy Trites-Butkin. Nancy Trites-Butkin is not only my dear friend, she's a role model. And there's not a lot of role model in my life. I can say it's not because I'm too demanding. It's just didn't click really like that. Like with her, she's just such a wonderful lady. Wonderful lady.
Yeah,
I have
very
so
genuine.
much, very genuine. I have so much admiration for, oh my God, the heart she has, which is so big. She's so generous. So
like yours.
Thank you so much. And maybe that's why we get along. But I have so much to learn from Nancy, and we had a lot of discussion together. And I realized that what I was doing, in fact, was pushing people to live the life they had to live. This is why I'm here. So sometimes it's companies, sometimes it's leaders, sometimes it's my neighbors. So whenever I take a coffee with somebody, I've stopped that a little bit because since I realized it, I've slowed it down. But before that, I was taking a coffee with somebody and I was like, I wanted to know, are they living the life they're supposed to live? I was a little bit crazy about that, but not consciously, unconsciously. And I'm somebody that is pushing people to live the best of what
because you care. Because
I care.
Yeah.
I care, and I believe that it's much better to live a fulfilling life than not. We have one life to live. This is so important.
Right.
So at some point, I with this in mind, with the fact that I just had interviewed somebody on a big stage in a big event that I had a lot of success, those two together, plus the fact that I've always wanted to launch a podcast, I came up with this idea of Brave. And Brave is basically the story of my life. And I'm not the most courageous person. It's just that courage changed my life. When I launched my business, I didn't talk too much about it, but I was scared. They have no idea. I was scared for 4 years before launching it.
Wow.
Yeah. I thought I couldn't do it. I was not able to do it. I had no talent to do that.
Well, that's what you felt.
That's what I felt.
Yeah.
Imagine. So, and then I did it. When I did it, I always say, it's like getting into a small boat in the middle of St. Lawrence River, which is huge. It's like an ocean. And you get into the small boat and then, you row and then you're in the middle. You know what? You get to know yourself.
Yeah.
You get to know if your strength and your weaknesses. And anyway, so I really thought that courage changed my life. And it's exactly what happened. So I took that story and I brought it to what I call now Brave. So Brave is a series of interviews that I do with wonderful women I connect with, stories that I connect with, women that are ready to share in their vulnerability, their highs and lows, and are ready to share their story of courage, which changed your life. So whatever, really important moment happened in their life. So they sit down with me in a cocktail and we podcast those interviews. Right now I have 25 done.
Beautiful.
I've interviewed CEOs, mayors, politicians, sometimes, really, really wonderful women, and sometimes women that are less known, like a restaurateur, a restaurant owner, I should say, all kinds of women, but they all have stories and lessons for everybody. And so with that, what I do is I push people to have a courageous life without doing it. So it's my purpose. I've given my purpose a media. and it's working. And I see so much positive
Mm-hmm.
feedback from the people who are listening, the audience. That was my first goal. So I wanted to do something for them. So
Right.
I get a lot of feedback. I didn't know that the person I was going to interview, or my brave lady, would have an impact. Well, you know what? They felt it so much, and I was so pleased, they got a lot of pride out of that, and their family got to know their stories, and that's fantastic. I didn't know how much it would have impact on me.
Mm,
My God, such an impact on me and on my team.
really?
Amazing,
Oh,
because
your team.
my team decided to help me, because it's a
Okay.
separate business, but they
Right.
decided to help me pro bono because they believed in it.
Wow.
And now people are coming to CASACOM because they know that we produce brave.
Right.
Anyway, it's been a success. 360. A
Changing lives.
success,
Yes.
like
Yes. Yes.
fulfilled me. So
Yes.
that's a success for me.
Well, your purpose, when you look at it, is you really want to inspire others to embrace their full life. and
Completely.
and you leading by example, and stories. Oh my gosh, we all resonate with stories, and that's why it is important for people to share, because we see now, if someone were to meet you, they see how very successful you are, and you have this huge company with these wonderful clients, but they don't know your story. They just know, oh my gosh, it's Marie-Josée. I can't talk to her. She wouldn't want to answer my questions. She's a big business owner. But this is what goes through our minds often when we find or admire individuals. But everybody has their stories, and it's great for sharing, because then it's like, well, if they can do it and they had those struggles, I can do it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Completely.
It gives people a basis to say, wait a minute, they're just as human as I am. Yeah. So I love it.
How many times it happened?
Yeah,
One participant coming to me and say, "This is exactly where I'm going." My
yeah, I
God,
love it. I love it.
it's
And it's
wonderful.
it's great for young women too. Yeah,
Absolutely.
they can see that, women are making a headway, and we're, got business owners and leaders, and oh, it's just wonderful. I love it. And I can tell it's your passion.
Oh
So
yes.
it's
Oh
it's
yes.
it's where your heart is, for sure. Now, are most of those in French, or do you have some in
Yes.
English?
Yes. I only have one in English,
Okay.
and it's Nancy Trites Butkin.
Okay. Well, that's all right. I mean, I know you're expanding, but we want to share that information too with all those listening, because I know we do have people from all around the world, and there are many, many people here in the United States that actually speak French and are
Yeah.
from different parts of the world.
Yeah. And
So
it's braveinspiration.com.
braveinspiration.com. Okay.
Yes.
And we'll have that link on your bio. So go and check that. Now, I know you spoke about courage, and it's how it's so valuable in our life. What do you feel is the most important thing about courage? Is it something that gives us the guts to do something, or is it something that makes us stand up for something? Where do you see courage as a value in life and then in business?
Yeah. I have so many stories. I see courage in so many angles now.
Right, right.
So it's I think I can categorize it in two main ideas. One is being courageous is having the courage of being yourself,
Mm,
and you know and take a stand
mm-hmm,
and say, this is not me,
right.
or this is not in line with my values.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm being asked here is not me. And you say no.
Okay.
That takes a lot of courage, right?
Yes, it does.
And just that, you can live a life of courage thanks to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the other one, which is, and I'm not a specialist, by the way, there's so many people specialists in that theme, but my experience would be, and the other one is, doing something that, going against your fear,
Mm-hmm.
doing something that in spite of the fear,
Right.
and challenging yourself, stretching yourself, that's great. That's more in the action.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think at the end of the day, you have to have both. It's
Yes.
because it's not true that you live a life without being challenged.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is, I don't think you can really, really, really go where you want to go if you don't stretch yourself.
Yes, I agree. I agree completely. So, what are your views on women in business today?
Oh my God, it's so exciting to see all those women, taking important
Right.
roles. And I love diversity.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it when there's men and women. I love it when there's all kinds of people from all kinds of places,
Different
uh,
cultures. Yeah.
different cultures, different, you know, uh, you know, I don't know, economic conditions,
Mm-hmm.
social economic decision, this condition. It's all that. I love it. Ages, different age
Mm-hmm.
group. So I love it that women are taking more space. It's so important.
Mm-hmm.
I love the solidarity also
Mm.
within women. I've never, you know what, I've never really dealt with those dispute they're talking about
Yeah.
women working together. It's like it's not part of my life at all.
Well, it's the
I know.
culture you built. That's why, because you're very giving. And because you are that way, those are the people that you hire. And I'm
Yeah.
sure if there was someone with that type of personality, they wouldn't last at CASACOM.
No,
They would be
they
called
don't.
up and they would be
It's
out
not
of
a
there.
it's not allowed,
Right,
period.
right,
But I see that in those, WPO, for instance, a great organization, woman
right.
president organization, there's a lot of collaboration and a lot of energy that comes from it. I wish women had, more, were less risk adverse,
Mm,
were more into businesses that, do that. It's not
right.
that growth is the only thing, but I can, there's obviously a gap
Mm-hmm.
right now in terms of, business that are growing fast or business that are requiring a lot of investment. You won't see a lot as many women
Right.
as men in those industries. So, we're more like me, like service firms, or, this is the kind of places you will find more women. So
Right.
I think we need to take more step
Mm-hmm.
of absolutely, but we're progressing
Or progressing.
a
Right.
lot, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I agree. Now, you are also a mom, a
Hmm.
wife, you sit on several boards, and you love to be really active. So, is there such a thing as balance in an entrepreneur's life? And if so, what's your secret?
Oh my God, this is really loving everything. That's it. I love everything I'm doing. Um,
So
and
you make time, you're able to make time for
it,
everything.
yeah, it nurtures me.
Hmm.
But I have to say one thing very important in my life. I didn't say, but when I launched CASACOM, things, I got separated from the father of my first son.
Oh,
So we separated, and exactly at the same time.
oh my.
So yes, everything's good. We're very close as a, separated
Hmm.
family, very, very close. All good. We have a wonderful 19 years old boy, and
Mm.
I have another one, 12 years old. I have to say that I learned something through that ordeal. It was really tough. I learned that I have to put myself first.
Mm.
And it's not something that is egocentric. Would you say that? It's not
Mm.
something selfish.
Selfish.
It's
Hmm.
not something selfish.
No.
Putting yourself first is fundamental. If you put yourself first, you will make sure that your life is, again, fulfilling, that fits, with you, and then you can be a good wife, a good
Right.
mom, and a
And
good boss, and a good neighbor, and a good citizen. If you don't, again, start with yourself. It's so important.
yes, that is really good advice, because once you give to yourself, you can give to others.
Yeah, so the very first thing I do every day is spend an hour and a half, and now I'm starting my vacation. It's going to be minimum of 2 hours for me, myself, and I. So
Mm.
what we do, the three of us, what I do
I love it.
is, you know, I stretch, meditate, appreciate, you know, the weather, appreciate the air. I run,
Mm.
you know, I read. It's
Mm-hmm.
my time. It's my time. And then I can be, you know, I can
Mm.
be with others with a
Right.
lot of generosity. It's really, really important to protect yourself. So when you do things like that, when you know how to live, in a sense, for you,
Right.
you can take a lot.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, that's very, very important. I'm so glad you brought that up because it hasn't been mentioned yet, but it really is important. So what is your next challenge?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question, Jen. I have to spend some time on it, but I have to say that I see my life as mountains,
Uh-huh.
and I don't really want this to happen. There's always another mountain.
Mm-hmm.
So when I launched Brave, I said to myself, oh, that's been a long time since you haven't stretched yourself. You need to stretch yourself, go and do it. And I did something out of my comfort zone. I really need to find another. I haven't found it. I need
No.
another place where I'm going to put myself out of my comfort zone. I'm going to stretch myself. Of course, I'm stretching myself every day, but you know,
Right.
a big thing, I don't know.
It'll come.
Maybe it's to grow Brave. Maybe it's about that. I don't know yet.
Yes, that would be a wonderful challenge because it needs to be worldwide.
I think so too.
No, I mean, with the internet, nowadays it's, so simple in the sense that all you need to do is start connecting with people around the world. I mean, it's not a difficult thing, because
No.
you can connect on all those platforms, Facebook, the Instagram, the, LinkedIn. And oh my gosh, look at all the connections you have. If you start to think about it, I'm sure you got people you still know in France and all the countries
But
you went.
With Welcome, I have connections across
There
the
you
world.
go. I mean, it would be much easier for you, but wow, yeah, that would be incredible. Imagine inspiring women across the world. That would be
Yeah.
just incredible. And hearing some of their stories too. So tell us one thing that's not on your resume.
Oh, I love horseback riding, and it's a new passion.
Really? Okay.
Yes, it started 5 years ago. And why it started 5 years ago, it's because I wanted my son, my youngest, when you want somebody to become something, you
Mhm.
have to give him experience
Yes.
so that he can experience something which will bring where you wanted him to be. Like I wanted him to have more concentration. I wanted him to be aware of his emotion and be able to control his own emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I realized when he started horseback riding? That's exactly what it's doing to him.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't plan that. It was just a hobby, and I realized, oh wow. And I was never into, not even dogs and animals.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always there with him at the how do you call that, a place where you do that. Anyway, I wonder, it starts with the S, I think.
The
uh
arena? No.
no, the
Equestrian?
stable.
Oh, the stable. Okay.
So I was always there with him, and I was always taking care of the horse and everything. And then I started doing it, and I already loved the clothes of
Oh
I
yeah.
was always I have a lot of kits like that. It's been ages that I have kits like that. I look like I do that all the time, but I
Yeah.
never do it. So I started horseback riding, and wow, it's this, I really love the sentence, when is the last time you did something for the first time?
Oh,
and
I
and
love that. Say that
I
again.
love it. So
Say.
when is the last time you did something for the first time?
Mm.
And I ask this question frequently. So I'm horsebacking with jumps, and I think I'm gonna stop because I hurt myself, and it's not the reason why I'm doing that. But I
Mm.
challenge myself.
Right.
Now I'm gonna do all other kinds of horseback riding, but this is something I really love. There's so many other things that I love, by the way.
Right.
But that was one of the. But getting closer to nature and to animals.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. I love that. I don't know why, but I like the smell of stables. I
Oh,
really do.
exactly.
What
So
is that
much.
about us? I mean, most humans like that smell.
I don't know. Does it calm us? I
Yes,
think it does.
it's like the earth. Yeah. It really,
It grounds us.
yes, that's a good way of putting it, because I love the smell of stables and horses. You know, I wouldn't want to be beside one, but because of the flies, but yes, the smell is, and yeah, horses, I love them. They are so intuitive. They do sense your emotions. And
Absolutely. And you have
yeah,
to put them aside.
yes, yep, because they will sense whether you're anxious, nervous, frightened.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
they
Imagine on a kid, what it
oh,
gives.
yeah.
It's
They use
wonderful.
them for therapy quite a bit too,
Exactly.
because of what they do.
Exactly.
So that's good for you. Good for you.
Mhm.
So, in fact, I just wanted to share a little story, because the horseback riding, the Queen in Britain rides horses, and you know, she's very old
Yes.
and she still rides horses, but her people were asking her to stop riding, because if she falls at her age, that could be, you know, could be deadly, you know, with a broken hip or whatever. She refuses to stop riding.
I
She
saw a
said, no.
photo of her recently. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So good for her. A couple of last questions that I like to throw in for everybody. Hopefully, you'll have some fun with them. In your life, if your life were an epic story, what would the title be?
She was born to do it.
Wow, that didn't take you any time. All right. So, what name would you give your character in your epic life and story?
Marion.
Okay. It sounds like you've given this some thought.
No,
how would you,
but
go ahead.
no, I never heard of those questions, but maybe I won't be as fast the next one.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
I think it's great. How would you characterize your epic life?
Oh, fearless.
Mm, perfect. If you had one epic superpower, what would it be and why?
You know what? Seeing the future, envision next step, next climb.
Mm,
I think,
okay.
even if right now I don't see it.
Yeah. So is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience, Marie-Josée?
Well, I don't know. I think I said so much, maybe too much. So
No, never too much. No, no, it's you're
no,
so
no.
engaging. I love it. It's inspiring. It's inspiring.
Well, thank you, Jane, for giving me the opportunity. I know that whenever I do a Brave, I interview someone at Brave, people come to me and say, Marie-Josée, you have to be interviewed. And I always say, no, 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 no. It's not my story. It's not my story. It's their stories. And you know what? And at some point I said, when I'm going to have done a 1,000 interviews, I will do the interview. But you know what? I did one today.
Oh,
And
you could tell them that.
I will tell them that.
Yeah.
So no, I'm very pleased, Jane. I think you are wonderful. What you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
I can't wait to listen to the other one. I'm going on vacation. I might put them on just in my ear while I will garden. We'll do some gardening. Yes, I'll do that.
That's the beauty of the internet and digital technology nowadays. You can listen to it anywhere and any way. So I want to thank you so much, Marie-Josée, for coming on the show and sharing with us your wonderful stories, your insights and your inspiration, and telling us how you've turned your passion into profits. And now Marie-Josée and I would love to hear from you. So go on over to my Facebook page and write a comment. Tell us what your epic takeaway was from this conversation. And remember, this is where you imagine, create, and build a life and business doing what you love. Until next time, this is the Epic Vision Zone.